you live ECU?
R.
Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
2 days out from East Carolina hosting Charlotte inside Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium for homecoming. Another big American Conference game as the Pirates aim to keep pace in the league standings with all the other one-loss teams. We'll tell you all about that here in a little bit. We'll also look at the American Conference and how the league sits right now in the race for the Group of Six playoff spot. We'll get into that discussion as well throughout today's show. Look around the American game tonight with conference title implications, perhaps, as South Florida is in action. We'll tell you about that. And look at ECU standing in the league as well. We'll also visit with Maceo Donald, ECU sideline reporter, former Pirate football player. Many of his former teammates will be back in town for homecoming. We'll have that discussion, get his thoughts on the game, and much more. The comments section on YouTube, Facebook, and X are open. If you got a question or comment or concern, drop it there. We'll get to it over the course of the next hour. Philip Pilkinen, he's producing today in the 94.3 The Game studios. Philip, we really haven't touched a lot on this East Carolina and Charlotte game specifically. We'll dive more into the X's and O's. Bobby Harward will join us tomorrow to make our picks. And by the way, we have his report up online, hoistedcolors.net, film study, so you can get an idea of what Charlotte presents ECU this weekend. The spread, close to 4 touchdowns. We always get kind of a vibe check as we sit a few days out from kickoff. How are you feeling? I know you've got some buddies, obviously, that are in the Charlotte area growing up there, but how are you feeling as ECU looks to get this Charlotte monkey off the back and get their first win over the 49ers in football?
Couldn't feel better. I mean, I'm just previewing tomorrow's show. There's no way in hell I'm picking Charlotte to cover the spread. I think Blake Harrell, he hasn't had to light a fire under their rear end, but he would if he had to. And I think they're lighting a fire under their own rear end. They know. They know they're 0-2 against them. They know that Charlotte's the worst team in the conference. And they're going to pin their ears back, and I think they're going to kick the ever-loving crap out of them.
So you're very confident.
Oh, yeah.
10 out
Pirates
of 10.
by 50.
Philip
And I don't even mean
all
that as like a Pirates by... No, I'm serious. I think we won by 50 points.
Pirates by 50.
Yeah, I really do think it's like 56-7.
We've got some people in the chat. I'll read their comments here in a minute. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I felt good about the Temple game. I feel good about this game. I think the one thing that Charlotte does pretty well is that I think Loftus at quarterback is actually a pretty solid quarterback, and I think they've got some weapons out wide. But their offensive line is, for lack of a better word, a train wreck. I mean, they're bad, and now they are maybe getting a guy back or two from injury or going to heal up a little bit. But ECU up front should be able to dominate the line of scrimmage defensively. I just don't see them having a lot of success. So if they hit a big passing play too early, I'm not going to be concerned. They may put up a scoring drive or whatnot. But I think once ECU settles in, they're going to have their way. And I think Charlotte's defense, as long as ECU executes and doesn't go try to do Superman stuff, that they will not be able to stop ECU the majority of the day. So I'm with you. I'm feeling good. I hope a good crowd turns out for the game. We know they're doing the discounted $12 tickets, of course. Some comments in the chat. Brady Thomas is in the chat. He says, good afternoon, fellas. Brady, by the way, will join us or is scheduled to join us on Monday for the reaction show. So he's going to be in town, Philip. Are you ready for the return of Brady Thomas?
I'm excited, man. So he's going to be live in studio.
Yeah, that's the word. That's the word. We'll see if he follows through on his promise.
Will he come to the press conference before?
Ooh, Brady, will you join us? Will you have the Stones? Big game, Brady. If it's a Memphis big game week, he may show up to the press conference. We'll see if he does. Lane Smith says Charlotte fans really like to talk for being 1-7. They've achieved nothing. So what? You beat ECU twice. Pretty lame. Really want to put 60 on these awful players and fans. Look. I don't have a problem with it, man. Like, they've beat ECU, and first off, in 2022, the ugliest game imaginable in college football history probably stands up there. And then last year, they kicked ECU's tail. I mean, so until ECU goes out in the field and proves it, they can talk all they want. Justice Bradburn says, I forced myself to rewatch the highlights from last year against Charlotte. Saturday can't come soon enough. I've said, Justice, yeah, I don't know why you do it. You must be a little sick in the mind. But I will say that is the only game that I've covered in this job that I just quit watching the game and started writing in the early stages of the fourth quarter because it was that bad. And I knew what the story was post game, so we got a head start on that. Brandon Shapiro says apparently a 1.4 chance of making the playoffs. I like our chances. Yeah, we'll get into that discussion here. Segment 3, we'll talk about the playoff picture and where the American sits in it as well. All right, so we know we got Charlotte ECU in action. That'll be a 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. Let's take a look around the American race in specific. Philip, we've been doing this weekly. We'll continue that now. So a couple big weeknight games. UTSA is at South Florida tonight. I put together a viewer guide chart on hoistthecolors.net of who ECU fans should pull for. If you're looking for a rooting interest, you definitely want UTSA to win this game. Now, I don't give the Roadrunners much of a shot on the road. If this was in the Alamo Dome, I feel better about it. The spread's at 13.5. But South Florida, one of these 6 one-loss teams in the league, looking forward to their schedule. They don't really have too many tough games. They have this one and then at Navy. They also go to UAB and they close with Rice at home. So I guess this is a losable game, Philip, but for the most part, I'm expecting a Bulls win tonight. They were also on a bye last week as well.
Yeah, let's just do a deep dive here into the Roadrunners' lack of success on the road. They have one win. It was at Colorado State, 17-16. Colorado State is currently 2-6. They beat Northern Colorado by 4. And they beat Fresno State. Now, Fresno did beat Boise last week, but that was a huge upset. They were like 3 touchdown underdogs. Colorado State is not good, and that is UTSA's only road win. So, unfortunately, Stephen, I have no faith tonight. I'm going to watch until the Broncos game starts, and then I'm going to scoreboard watch the rest of the way, and I'm going to pray that the football gods give us a miracle, but I really think it'd be a miracle. And I like Jeff Traylor. I like this UTSA program, but they are horrible on the road.
They are, and until they prove otherwise, like I can't pick them in the spot. If I had to take a side on a spread, I would take USF minus 13.5. I would definitely lean towards the over in this game. I don't even know what it is, but I would expect a lot of points for Roadrunners and Bulls.
67.5.
Jeez.
I don't know if I'm betting the over. I think I'm staying away.
I mean, I'm probably going to not bet it if I had to. I guess I would. But, yeah. Tulane is at Memphis in another critical game. This is a 9 o'clock Eastern kickoff on Friday night at Memphis. That's a late kick. Now, Memphis is around a touchdown favorite, but I have read that Brendan Lewis, their quarterback, he turned his ankle late in the previous game against Rice. And so I'm expecting him to play, but Ryan Silverfield is just like, yeah, we got to make a decision on if he's going to be the best man to help us win. They don't have to announce anything until 2 hours before kickoff per American policy. So I would think if he can stand up, he's playing in this game. It's a massive game. Your viewership guide chart here, look, you got 2 one-loss teams in the American. It's pretty simple. ECU's already lost to Tulane head-to-head. They get to play Memphis next week. You definitely want a Memphis win here. I think it makes the murky picture a lot easier. So this is a vital game for ECU fans to tune into 9 o'clock on Friday night.
Yeah, this is going to be when you put your kids down and go to bed, and your wife wants to watch a movie, and you don't want to. This is going to be your argument. This can be the reason East Carolina makes the college football playoff is because Memphis beats Tulane. When we look back and we're sitting in the national championship game, it's going to be because of this. Everything I just said is not going to happen, but you can use it as an excuse to not watch that chick flick that your wife wants to watch at 9 o'clock once the kiddies are put down tomorrow night.
And again, if Tulane wins here, their schedule extremely manageable going forward. FAU at home, at Temple could be a little tricky, and then they get Charlotte at home. So you got to pull hard for a Memphis win here. The Tigers unbeaten at home this season. Obviously, their only loss coming on the road to UAB. So, we're going to pick this game tomorrow on the show. I'm leaning Memphis, but I was listening to a podcast earlier. I feel like like Tulane, Memphis, USF, probably the most talented teams across the rosters, top to bottom in the league, given the money they spend. And I think if Brendan Lewis is 100% healthy, they're definitely the pick here. I just worry if he's not healthy, Tulane's got a good enough defense to slow them down. But I don't know what in the world to expect from the Tulane offense. Jake Retzloff was benched in the last game, and Brendan Sullivan, the Iowa transfer, looked pretty good. So, do they roll with him? Do they go back to Retzloff? I mean, if there's one thing I feel confident about if Lewis plays, Memphis is going to score, and then can Tulane score with them is my question.
That's a good point. I do want to remind people that in August, the kid from Iowa got hurt, and that's what gave Retzloff the job. They were neck and neck from what we've been told, and then he got banged up. So there's that. As to what to expect, man, this is I don't know, man. This is one of those things where Memphis should win, but it feels like we're East Carolina and we can't have nice things. And this just proves why we can't have nice things. And Tulane wins the game, and we're all sitting there just dumbfounded at 12:30 on Saturday morning.
We'll see how it plays out. So those are really the two main games to watch. North Texas is off this week. You have Navy, which is at Notre Dame. For us personally, Philip, Tulsa's at FAU. We still need a third Tulsa win to hit our over. I was looking at that this morning. Now, they still have Oregon State at Army, UAB. So even if they lose at FAU, I still feel pretty good about it. But we have the over win total for Tulsa, 2.5. You get Temple at Army. Kind of interested to see how that plays out. UAB's at Rice, Charlotte at ECU, Tulsa at FAU, and then Navy at Notre Dame. Now, I put in my viewership chart that, look, I get it. It's hard to say, you got to pull for Notre Dame against Navy, but I was just running through the scenario. If ECU and Navy finish tied, let's say Navy goes 7-1 in the league, ECU goes 7-1 in the league. If Navy has a win over Notre Dame, they're going to be ranked, and ECU is not going to get a tiebreaker. If they lose to Notre Dame in decided fashion, then ECU could conceivably get that tiebreaker. So I wrote, hey, you want Notre Dame to win here, probably by a lot, just to leave no doubt, because ECU is much better than Navy in all the metrics. But if Navy were to somehow pull the upset, then that changes the outlook of Navy in that potential tie.
Yeah, when that potential tie could be for a spot in the championship game, or it could be for a home game. Would you rather drive to Annapolis and play in their stadium, or would you rather play in Dowdy-Ficklen? I mean, yeah, you have to. Also, hey, I am actually worried, off topic, but I'm worried about our Golden Hurricane if they don't win this one, because the Beavers of Oregon State, 2-0 since they fired their coach, Stephen. They beat Lafayette, and then they beat Washington State 10-7. Just saying, do not sleep on Oregon State.
Does that make them Pac-12 champions? Or do they have a rematch?
They got to play Washington State again, home and home.
Oh man, but hey, they've never traveled to H.A. Chapman Stadium in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They don't know what that atmosphere is like. So we'll see what happens there. So look, the American title race, we hit on the main games to keep an eye on. Again, North Texas off this week. You look at the analytics. Right now, ESPN gives Memphis a 23.3% chance to win the conference. They give South Florida a 21.7% chance to win the conference. They give ECU, which is ranked ahead of North Texas in the FPI, a 5.4% chance to win the conference. They give North Texas, though, a 37.9% chance, and they give Tulane a 4.3% chance. So really, those are I think Navy's at 0.1% chance. Yeah, 0.9% chance, despite being still alive, just based on strength of schedule, all that sort of stuff. So look, ECU's still a outlier here for the analytics, but very much alive, and that's what makes this fun, Philip.
It does, and it's for people wondering why is East Carolina considered a better team, but has worse, chances. They've got to go to UTSA. UTSA has never lost a home conference game when Jeff Traylor's their head coach. They got to host Memphis. Here's the rest of the Mean Green schedule: at UAB, already fired their coach; at Rice, dog water of a program; home against Temple, average. So that's the difference, unfortunately.
Cakewalk, and yeah. North Texas has earned it. They went on the road to Army. They also won against Navy. They still have a very easy schedule. But to this point, they've earned it outside of the South Florida game, which was a absolute debacle in Denton. But we'll see. A lot to still play out here. Ryan Bender says one game at a time. I get it, but we have to break down the scenarios. Brady says he's in for the press conference on Monday. Unless Charlotte wins, Brady, you're banned. So we will not welcome you in there. Notre Dame has all the reason to beat its remaining opponents badly, Conan adds, for style points and for the playoffs. All right, let's get a break in. We'll visit with Maceo Donald next, and we'll talk about the game with him, his thoughts. We will break down kind of the playoff picture for the G6, the American as a whole, in segment 3, so stay tuned for that. But Maceo Donald next after this commercial break.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout Eastern North Carolina. You get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arg!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Everything you need to know in the world of ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back into Hoist the Colors on a Thursday, 2 days out from kickoff. It'll be homecoming, ECU Charlotte, 3 o'clock Eastern, the start time for the 49ers and Pirates, the third rendition of the series. Pirates hoping to get on the board with a win. Let's visit now with Maceo Donald, ECU sideline reporter. He'll be in Dowdy-Ficklin on Saturday. He also watched the ECU Temple game this past weekend. So let's start there, Maceo. Just, man, a complete destruction of the Temple Owls after the game was tied at 14-all, 45-14. What did you make of that victory for the Pirates?
Yeah, I thought it was a good game, man, overall. At first I was a little scared. We got that big lead, and then they cut it really quickly, tie ball game, but we took off after that. But I think that was one of those games that you're supposed to have. You're supposed to handle business, and I think they did that and went up there and showed a lot of energy and was able to have some explosive plays as well.
Yeah, Blake Harrell said post-game that he, I guess, had heard Casey Keeler, the Temple coach, say at one point this is a 50-50 game. You know, I know Keeler was saying going into the game, he was like, our guys, we think ECU is just as good as us. And I guess ECU used that as motivation. So I don't know. I think Coach Harrell doing a good job of finding a way to get the guys' attention right now. And not that players need motivation to play, but, I guess any little motivation helps, right? Like when your coach kind of brings something to your attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that every week is kind of hard to just sometimes get going for some of the games. Obviously, some of them are bigger than the others. So sometimes it can be a little bit hard to just get up and going, just depending on who you're playing. And I think the guys probably watching film and everything, they saw that Temple had some potential, but, it's obviously a game that they should have handled business in the way they did. So a game like that, you don't want it to sneak up on your players. And I'm sure I just saw the piece of an interview from two of the Charlotte guys about them talking about how this is a new rivalry and they hate us and we hate them and kind of a deal. And I think they're going to be playing that one as well in the locker room in the next few days. So it's just kind of something you do to just keep getting going and so the guys don't forget, what's on the table for them.
ECU finished the Temple game 614 yards of offense, 358 yards rushing, Maceo. That's basically that's a good day for a triple option offense. I don't know, what did you see that clicked in the running game? And there was a series they ran it 11 straight times at Temple.
Yeah.
And obviously culminated with a Mike Wright touchdown, and that was a statement drive. So what did you see in the run game just to make that thing so successful?
Honestly, London has seemed to have woke up these past couple weeks. I think, after that Tulane loss where the young dude kind of got a chance to go out there and play, and then the next week you saw that, it seems like London's had really, really good games, probably his best two games as a Pirate. So I just see him running hard. He's able to make some guys miss and break some tackles and get out into the open field, and that's kind of been something we've struggled with, especially when we try to run down the middle, is just getting those explosive plays. We might fall for 4-5 yards, but we haven't seen those explosive plays. And just the last few weeks, I've just seen that ability from London to just break loose and kind of be able to go out there and create some plays on his own.
East Carolina, Charlotte this weekend. All right, we'll talk about that game in a minute. But how about these new helmets, man? Or like we were talking pre-show, the new old helmets as they're throwing back from the early to mid 1990s, the Flying ECU logo. Are you a fan of these?
Yeah, I think they look pretty good, man. That all purple that they're going to be wearing out there. I think it's just fun to just try some different things. And, I know some of the fans and even some of the players might like certain things over others, but I think it's pretty cool. It's going to be a pretty good helmet just to throw it back for just homecoming. I think it just fits the event that we're going to have on Saturday.
And they brought these modern throwbacks out, one of the final years you were there. I know Tegan and Keaton Mitchell modeled them, but did you ever have a favorite uni from your time with the Pirates? Was there a favorite helmet you used to like?
I think that same year, or maybe the year before, we did all white. Or no, that was that same year. Maybe I think we did all white against Navy at home. A night game, I believe, and those are one of my favorites just because we never really wore just the straight all-white helmets, except for when we did do that throwback that year, we did wear the white helmets for the throwback with the purple jerseys and the white pants instead of this all-purple that they're doing this year. But I think those all-whites were always super fresh. I think we only wore them really one time when I was there, but we lost in them, so we never wore them again, so.
Well, that's what I was about to say. If y'all would have won in them, y'all would have kept it going, right? But when you lose in like a debut, like if they lose to Charlotte this weekend, these helmets will never be worn again. Yeah. I feel like that's usually how it works, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially not this season. They might try again the next year or something like that. Coach Harrell, depending on how long he's here and everything. But that's kind of how it is. You usually think that the baseball guys are superstitious, but the football guys have a superstitious too. You try one thing and it works, you want to keep doing it. I remember, I think this was 2021 season with Coach Houston. We kept wearing the white pants, white jerseys, but the black helmets for every away game, and we were winning. So we just kept doing it. But we could see something like that if we go out and have a big night. We might see him again.
Maceo Donald with us, talking unis, talking football. I know Philip is loving this conversation. He's a big uniform guy. He just wants ECU to wear leather helmets Saturday. It'll be interesting. Charlotte, ECU, and Blake Carroll didn't pull any punches again. And going back to the motivation thing, the press conference Monday, I asked, does last year stick with you? Because that was probably had to be up there for worst defensive performance ECU has had since Blake Harrell got to Greenville, and he didn't pull any punches. He was like, "Yeah, I'm everybody on the team for the past 2 years asked him to stand up." So they've had a countdown clock in the locker room as well, Maceo. And if you're outside the program, maybe you look at it as, all right, ECU might overlook this game, but I think ECU is going to give Charlotte their best shot. And I don't know, what are you expecting on Saturday?
Yeah, I expect a complete. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a shutout and put up 50. I think that's definitely on the table. And just like I said earlier, watching the press conference with some of the Charlotte guys, and it's just, at least from my opinion and some of the guys I played with, if we had Charlotte on our schedule, that would be a game where, everybody would get in, we could play. We score a lot of points, but I think the last 2 years, just a situation with Coach Houston, that 2-10 year, and then last year, just Coach Harrell being a new coach, it didn't go the way we wanted it to go with Charlotte. And, they're kind of feeling themselves, but we really shouldn't be on any equal level with Charlotte. They should be that step-down program, especially in the state. So I think tomorrow we're going to definitely make a statement with that, and I wouldn't be surprised if our guys don't come out until third, fourth quarter, until you just have to save them and don't get them hurt. But I wouldn't be surprised if we scored 50 or 60 on Saturday with a shutout.
Yeah, the only concern, Maceo, I have is ECU going to want this game too bad? Because I almost feel like they've had this one circle. I know they have, and I don't know. Can you be too up for a game? Because I almost feel like if ECU just goes out and plays their game, Charlotte won't be able to stop them. So
yeah,
I just worry about like an early mistake or two. Is that a valid concern, or am I overthinking it?
Yeah, I think it is, but most of these guys have been in some pretty tough situations, especially, the last few years, but then this year as well. So I think they're going to be ready, but it's kind of that controlled chaos kind of idea, just being ready, being hyped up, ready to play, but still focused and controlled and able to execute from play to play. And I just think we've seen that over the season. We've just been able to execute more and more as the season has gone on, and some of the challenges we've faced, we've always been able to bounce back. But I think they definitely have this circle. They're going to want to play, and they're going to want to embarrass those guys. And I understand why. So I think everyone will be focused and just be able to execute. It's not a team that you're necessarily worried about. So it shouldn't be too hard to go out there and just do what you're supposed to do.
Homecoming this weekend, we know you'll be on the sideline inside Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium on the broadcast. Maceo, have you talked with any of your former teammates that are making the trip back? And, Hall of Fame weekend as well. So it should be a pretty special weekend in Greenville.
Yeah, a lot of guys are coming back, especially in this 2018 recruiting class and the 2022, 2023 graduates. There a lot of guys are coming back. I know Holden was saying in our group chat a couple of days ago, trying to do a tailgate and have some food and everything. So a lot of guys will be back. But it's just a fun, homecoming is always fun, just to see some of the old guys. Kind of just gets that feeling again of being back in the same area, because, any kind of, competitive sport or just kind of environment where you're around a certain group of people every day, really for years, you go on vacation together, you spend Thanksgiving, Christmas together, and then you kind of just split up for a while. So it's good to just see everybody back, and it's always a fun experience. And I think just the atmosphere in the crowd on Saturday is going to be really fun.
Now, I know you were tight with Tyler Snead, long before he became a CFL superstar. So any idea if he's going to try to make it back? And what about Blake Prohl? Because I know you used to run in these same circles. I'm expecting him to sing the national anthem one of these days.
Blake will definitely do that eventually, but Blake is actually on tour, so he won't make it. He's opening for a guy, a professional singer, so Blake is on tour right now. He was on tour for maybe like 10 days, and then he was off for about a week, and he just went back on. I think he's been in LA, but he's going to be back in Nashville maybe at the end of this week. So Blake won't be there, and Tyler is also there in the second round of the CFL playoffs this weekend, so he won't be able to make it as well. So those guys are just doing what they've been doing, man, trying to pursue those professional careers that they have, and they've been doing pretty good so far.
No doubt. We're proud of them, regardless, for sure. Maybe they can make it back down the road as well. All right, Maceo Donald with us. How much are you following, if any, this American Conference title race? And it's still a little early, but there's 6 one-loss teams, Maceo. I'm going to try to rattle them off here without the standings in front of me. You got Navy, which obviously just lost last weekend to North Texas. North Texas is up there. You've got Tulane. You've got USF. You've got ECU. and you also have Memphis, which ECU will play next week. So like it's kind of chaos up there, and obviously if ECU gets a win, that sets up a big one versus Memphis. So we have the chance for some meaningful games in late November, which is pretty exciting, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is exactly the position you want to be in, just having an opportunity to compete for a conference championship. And it seems like it's pretty even, at least so far, throughout the conference. You obviously have South Florida, Navy, Memphis been proven in the American Conference, but I think this is a perfect opportunity for a team like ECU to kind of make their steps. But you hear all the coaches will always tell you, once it gets to November, that's where, you kind of can create your legacy here and kind of create those big moments that everybody will remember. So I think, this will be a week, handle business, still another conference opponent, no matter the level that they are. And then handle business this week and then go next week and have a chance to knock off a really good opponent. So I think this is exactly where you want to be. I think we've had a lot of challenges this year and experiences that would help us, when it comes down to this conference championship contention. So we'll see, because we haven't had that moment really since the 2022 season where there was a possibility to be in that role at the end of the conference season. So it'll be really exciting, but just got to take it 1 week at a time.
Speaking of 1 week at a time, you feel pretty confident about this weekend. Are you willing to give an official score prediction for Saturday?
54-3, 54-7. 54-7. I think it's going to be pretty bad. Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty bad for them.
The spread is close to 30. I think 28-29 last I checked, so that would have ECU covering it. Spoiler alert, we make our picks Friday. I will have the Pirates covering as well, no matter what the number is. I think ECU is going to show up in a big way Saturday. All right, final thing for you, Maceo. Now, I think your Chiefs are off this week. I know. Look, you know I had to do it. The Chiefs have the same record as the Panthers. Now, I will say, look, the Panthers have played not an easy schedule, but the Chiefs have had a tough schedule. They lose at Buffalo. Yeah. And they've got a week off to prepare for Denver. And Denver's got Vegas on a short week. We'll see what happens. But then we could have KC at Denver. And if that could be a must-win for the Chiefs, man. If they lose that, they'll be potentially 3.5 out of the division. Yeah. So how you feeling?
Yeah. I still have pretty good feeling about it. The NFL this year is kind of like, the American Conference, where there's a lot of guys just in there that have an opportunity. You don't really know who's going to get out of it by the end of the season. So, it's not the best feeling with the Chiefs right now, but they also have some of the best players in the world, maybe the best quarterback we've ever seen. So, I think it's going to be fun, and I think you just can't count Mahomes and Andy Reid out at this point. But they do have the same record as Phillips Panthers, which is insane. And the Panthers got a big win last week also. So we won't be bringing those leather helmets back out anytime soon.
No doubt, Phillips still on cloud nine with his Panthers being not only just an average team, but above average now officially.
Let's not get carried away. Look, they won one game. They're not above average yet. They're still hanging. They're on the low part of average still. Let's be honest here. Now, I will be disappointed if they do not end up 6-4. They got the Saints this week. You can't beat the Aints. You're dog water again. But 6-4, and then they might win one or two more after that the rest of the year, and maybe they'll squander up 8 wins.
Yeah, definitely improvement, right?
There you go. Baby steps.
And I'm with you, Maceo. Like, as long as Mahomes is in the playoffs, I don't care. Even if they don't win the division, I'm not picking against Mahomes in December or January, obviously, when the playoffs will begin. But I'm not picking the Broncos on Christmas at Arrowhead, I can tell you that. So they need to win the next 2 games to have a good shot. But we'll see, man. Hey, remind us where we can check out your work. Pirate fans always looking for some Maceo Donald. So where can people follow you?
Yeah, I have a bi-monthly sports column coming out at CarteretCountyNewsTimes.com or CarolinaCoast.com. So you can find all my sports column work there. It's just searching my name and or Just Say It, which is the name of the column. So doing a lot of all sports stuff. I've done a lot of ECU football this year. So, yeah, you can check out all my work there.
All right, there he is, Maceo Donald. I expect a really good column if the Pirates put it on the Niners and cover the spread. So we'll look forward to that. We'll connect next week, Maceo. Appreciate the time as always.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks.
That's Maceo Donald, ECU sideline reporter. Also helps out WCTI and does some writing for his column online. Let's get a break in. We'll come back. More Hoist the Colors on the way.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown. At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Every ECU fan's one stop for all things ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Segment 3 of Hoist the Colors on this Thursday, two days out from ECU in Charlotte. Appreciate Maceo Donald's time. Philip Hogan will rejoin us now. We'll take a look around the Group of 5 playoff race. Obviously, the highest ranked conference champion gets a slot, and usually will be the Group of 5. Last year, Boise State was actually a top 4 champion, so that doesn't technically always mean the 5th spot goes to the schools outside of the ACC, SEC, Big 10, and Big 12. But this year it will most likely. And I pulled up the percentages for each team to make the playoffs. And really there are 4 main contenders based on percentages, but I think really 5 or 6 that are seriously in the mix. James Madison from the Sun Belt, San Diego State from the Mountain West. Those teams are currently projected to win each of those leagues. More on that in a minute. Then you have the American, which is by far the best league of these, but the problem is the American could cannibalize itself. North Texas right now, 27.3% chance to make the playoff. We referenced their easy schedule earlier. USF also has a manageable schedule down the road. They also have a 26.3% chance to make the playoff. Memphis with a 20.3% chance to make the playoff. And then San Diego State leading the Mountain West with a 3.6% chance to make the playoff. You also have Tulane with a 3.4% chance and ECU with a 1.1% chance as of this morning per the ESPN's Football Power Index. Boise State also the only other team with a 1% chance or better from the Group 6. So that's 8 teams total I read off. Navy's down at 0.8, and then there's some more from the CUSA, Sunbelt, Mountain West. But Phil, I'll let you take the floor here. How do you see this thing potentially shaking out? What are you keeping your eye on the most here?
Yeah, I'm keeping my eye on, does the committee value overall record or strength of schedule more? Last year, it was overall record. We saw that with SMU getting in over Alabama. They claimed to be going more towards the strength of schedule this year. Here's the reason that I make that comment. Let's look at the American. South Florida, 2 losses, a conference loss, and a loss to Miami. Tulane, a conference loss, and a loss to Ole Miss. Memphis, so far, only a conference loss, and North Texas, same boat, only a conference loss. When you look at San Diego State and JMU, San Diego State only 1 loss, but to a not-so-good Washington State team. JMU loss to Louisville. So those 2 teams will most likely finish the season 12-1. They will both have out-of-conference losses, be undefeated in league play, but they are playing in a much weaker league. I think, to your point, Stephen, if the American does, beat itself up too much and you're having a team win the American with 2 league losses as well as maybe an out-of-conference loss, a 3-loss team, that I see tough getting in. However, I think a 2-loss American team, especially if one of those is out of the conference, especially if you look at a team like, let's say, Tulane. They lost to Ole Miss. Ole Miss is going to make the college football playoff. Now, and they've got some decent wins here. East Carolina, Duke. Those are solid wins, a lot better than a lot of the wins that James Madison or San Diego State may have.
I think if the American as it sits right now, look, the projection, the group of 6 projection currently has Memphis in from the College Football Committee. Now, they did not rank the Memphis Tigers, but from my understanding, they rank until they get to the last conference champion, but they just don't show outside of the top 25. And the last conference champion being the 5th conference champion, because obviously the top 5 conference champs have to make the 12-team field. So Memphis, as of today, is the highest ranked projected group of 5 champions. So they would be in the projected bracket as the 12th seed going to Georgia, man. Fun draw there in the first round. But anyways, that's kind of your projection as of right now. And I think if Memphis, I think if USF, and I think if North Texas or Tulane win out, I think undoubtedly those programs get the auto bid over JMU and San Diego State. The resume is just stronger. As you mentioned, Philip, like you start to lose some games. Let's say Memphis beats Tulane, but then ECU beats Memphis. And then maybe North Texas, let's say Navy knocks off USF, and then all of a sudden USF knocks off North Texas in the championship game. Then everybody in the league would have 2 losses. Then it gets a little more tricky. So I do think USF with the strength of schedule, most of these teams with the strength of win have a better resume than what a JMU would have. But I'm with you. Like JMU, I think, is the biggest threat to the American. They go to Marshall this weekend. They're 2-touchdown favorites, but that's not an easy game. Then they host App State. They get Washington State at home. That should be a win. And then they finish at Coastal Carolina, and then they would have the Sun Belt Championship. So they're going to be favored in all those games. Is it possible they're tripped up? Certainly. San Diego State, kind of a similar deal. They would probably have to beat, Boise in the championship to run the table. They have Hawaii on the road this weekend. We also have, UNLV, whoever, also in the mix there. I think New Mexico as well.
The tough thing here with San Diego State is they start to play Boise. So I think if they beat Boise, Boise's going to end up with 2 conference losses. Does that open a door for, say, UNLV? Maybe. Let me look up there. And I'm not saying UNLV to make the college football playoff, but I'm saying UNLV to be the conference championship game. Now, with that being said, I don't know if the committee would value a win over Boise that much more than winning a win over UNLV. I think at this point, Boise's kind of played themselves into mediocrity with that loss last week. Oh, no, UNLV's got 2 conference losses as well. including one of Boise. Yeah, they probably beat Boise twice.
Yeah. So the tough thing here for the American is the middle of the American is so much better than the middle of these other leagues. And so, look, I mean, you got 6 one-loss teams. Maybe there's no great team in the American this year, but the overall strength of the league is clearly better than the Sun Belt. I mean, look at ECU beat Coastal Carolina. Granted, much different, maybe much different Coastal team, but they still beat them 38-0. Coastal could conceivably make the conference title game. Now, they'd have to beat James Madison, but there is a path. So, ECU's the 6th best team right now in the American by the standings, crushing Coastal. Like, I just think the league is so much better, and maybe they really value strength of schedule, strength of record, all that stuff, and they put in a 2-loss American team, or, in ECU's case, if they win out somehow, maybe a 3-loss American team. I think that's probably worst case scenario for the American, honestly, is that ECU wins out and wins the championship with 3 losses, because I think it's going to be tough for the committee to put an ECU in. But just presenting the scenario, it would really come down to what the committee values. And if they follow through on their word, Philip, of, hey, we're really going to value strength of schedule and strength of record. And honestly, the first top 25 that they submitted really didn't necessarily follow through on that. They still ranked a lot of records more so than strength of overall resume.
They did. So it's going to be interesting to see how that evolves, or does it evolve. And, you're talking about the American being a better league. Look, I know we're all laughing at Florida and Billy Napier got fired, but, South Florida still went to the Swamp and won. You still went to an SEC school and won. And I'm not saying that South Florida's going to win the league, but that proves this conference is better. They don't have a win like that. Who has a win over Memphis has a win over Arkansas.
Memphis.
Tulane beat Duke, which isn't great, but it's just like each team in the American, really with the exception of ECU, has at least a pretty quality out-of-conference win. The tough thing is ECU's out-of-conference schedule was just that tough. Like, BYU would have been that team, but BYU's undefeated right now. Like, we didn't play a middle of the pack. I guess we did in state, but whatever. But we still almost beat them. Like, that's the point. The American's better. Whoever comes to the American is going to be a better football team.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, look, hey, Duke is one of the favorites to win the ACC right now in football.
Yeah.
And Tulane beat them. Who knows if a betting favorite, at least. Who knows if they actually follow through on it. But Northwestern's been playing better. Northwestern's been playing better. Tulane smashed them. So I think it's unquestionably the better league. It's just how much is it going to eat itself up? A lot of people in the comments section saying, we need to mainly Corsair saying we don't need to worry about the national title picture. Well, this is more so just a look at the American overall. And, Fantasyland, if ECU does run the table, 3-loss, the only way a 3-loss ECU makes it is if James Madison and San Diego State both lose one more game.
I agree.
And then you'd at least have an argument.
Yeah.
Because obviously ECU would be a fringe top 25 team at that point. You would have your losses to NC State, Tulane, and BYU. You would have to hope BYU is a playoff team and that NC State finishes strong. But I mean, the overall resume, if you put NC State on the road and BYU on any of these other teams' schedule, they're probably 0-2, 1-1 at best in those games as well. So that would be ECU's potential argument.
Yeah, it would be. And the other thing too, Stephen, that would have a win over Memphis if we do run the table. And so if we're sitting in a scenario where we run the table and Memphis' only loss is to us the rest of the way, I mean, there's some of the UAB loss in there. But, I think we would be a fringe top 25 team. So, and I understand Corsair's point here, but also like we've said on the show, we want one of these teams to get in. It's better for our finances. We make money if a team from our conference gets in the college football playoff, and then that can help us buy more players for next year.
No doubt, and it's important for perception of the league. You want as many years in a row as with the American kind of having that representative, or as many as possible. All right, let's get a break in. We got to get our final break in. We'll come back. We'll either answer questions or take an early look at ECU Richmond and basketball. Kind of a sneaky big game for the Pirate Hoops team this Saturday, in Richmond at 6 p.m. So we may talk about that after this.
Hurry to Greenville Toyota for model year-end savings on a Camry. Just $229 a month. $229 a month. Or new RAV4, $279 a month. $279 a month. Only during our model year-end move-out. Right now at Greenville Toyota.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
It's Greenville Toyota's model year-end move-out. Save on a new Corolla, just $149 a month. $149 a month. Or new Tacoma, $249 a month. $249 a month. Now get a move on and save at Greenville Toyota.
Like all pirates, Stephen Igo is loyal and bold. He may also have a touch of scurvy. Back to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Back in, final segment here, final few minutes. Wanted to quickly touch on basketball because we may not have time tomorrow. I think this Saturday's game at Richmond, ECU men going to Richmond, is a critical early season test. Look, is it going to make or break ECU's season if they win or lose? No. I just want to see them look competent. This is a spot, this program, you look back at Schwartz's first year, they went to ODU, lost by 21 in their first road game. One of their first road games, they went to George Mason a couple years ago, lost by 20 plus there. Now you go back to the state of Virginia, you go to Richmond, regional foe. Richmond was 10-22 last year. But before that, they were in the NIT, 23 wins. In 2021-22, they were an NCAA team. So this is a strong program foundationally. Chris Mooney does a heck of a job there. They'll be good, better than last year. And so I just want to see how ECU looks. 6 p.m. tip-off. Obviously, we'll have the Charlotte game going on at 3. And I don't know how much I'll get the chance to actually watch. But I just want to see them look competitive. And if they get a win, that would be huge. I don't know how good Richmond is. But I just want to see the Pirates look competent here. Obviously, we don't know Jay Shane Woodard's status. But I just want to see guys like Calker, Delorier, who are Virginia natives, by the way, kind of play better and the team look a little better. So, Philip Pilkington back to 94.3 studio. What are you hoping to hear / watch on Saturday when the Pirates take on the Spiders?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Richmond had a down year a year ago, only 5 wins in league play, but, it's A-10 is still a solid league. Maybe it's not what it was 10 years ago when they were a 5 or 6 bid league one year. But just in this one, I want to see continued scoring from the bigs. I think that was very impressive on Tuesday, whatever day we played, and I liked the. You're distracting the heck out of me, Michael. Over here, Michael's over here like playing head, shoulders, knees. Isaiah, sorry, yeah. So I liked our scoring from the bigs, and I want to see more of that because I think in order for this team to be good, they've got to be able to score the ball inside.
Richmond has played one game that counts, at least. They beat the Southern Virginia Knights last night, a non-Division I team, 84-56. They did scrimmage JMU in the preseason. I think won 62-57. So Conan adding in the comments that ESPN has ECU as the underdog. Yeah, ECU is going to be a dog here.
Yeah.
ECU basketball on the road. I would expect that. So probably around a 6-7 point dog, I would think. But who knows, man?
I don't know what.
Tough to tell.
I don't know what Richmond did in the portal, really. Based off the results from last year, I think it might be closer to 4 or 5. But I mean, what the hell do I know about Richmond? I'm just to be honest, I don't.
Yeah, and we'll see. Hopefully Pirates play well. Having some older players on the team should help. Jordan Riley. Obviously some guys. That's why it hurts to have Woodard. But Gio Imajuru has played in these types of environments as well. So we'll see. Just wanted to get some hoops talk in before we dove into football and make our picks tomorrow. We'll do that. We'll make our picks against the spread.
Oh, we got to pick Denver game real quick.
Denver, Oakland, or Denver Raiders, excuse me. 9.5. Denver's favored by. I'm going Raiders.
I am too, and I think Bobby is as well, right?
Yep, everybody's on the Raiders to cover. We'll see you tomorrow at 12 noon. We'll make our picks, preview the Charlotte game further. Thanks for listening.